Okay, I am going to learn how to do this stuff. I really am. I have this nice little intro video, but I don't know how to play it. I was looking for somewhere on here to pull that video up. You know how people have this countdown? I like the countdown, but maybe before tomorrow's live, somebody's going to teach me how to do like an intro, because actually one of the young fellas at my church made me an intro and an exit video. So I'm going to write myself a note now how to play intro video. Okay, so I, in my effort to try to do lives every day as much as I can every evening, I want to pick different topics, and sometimes they'll be relevant to like right now, which is what I want to do tonight. A lot of people have been asking me my take on the current national scene with what happened at that rally, and then what happened Sunday with the bow out, all these other things. And I do have a take on this stuff, and I don't know, it's so first of all, some of you might be new, you don't know me besides maybe what you've seen on the internet, but I'm a pretty conservative person, pretty traditional woman, and but I'm very curious. My parents taught me to respectfully ask for the truth. So if I was puzzled about something, whether it was an adult or a child, I would ask them questions. So I'm that curious person. That's probably why I did well as an IRS agent, because I was pretty curious all the time. But there's a lot of strange stuff going on right now, and I'm sure you guys know that. Very, very strange things. Um, I hear that the Secret Service lady resigned today. Um, Several days too late, as far as I'm concerned, but it's just strange. Like when if you watch that thing, that I was, believe it or not, my son, he's 34 yesterday, was over my house that day that they had that rally and that thing happened at the rally. So mom called and told us that the person had been injured, and we said okay and hung up the phone and continued on with our conversation, because we were in a really deep conversation. And that's basically, you get a gist of how I feel about the political world. The thing that I feel about the parties, now other countries have several more parties. We have two major parties, and then they have a few sprinkled around other parties that never win. They rarely ever get a chance to get in a debate in the national stage. And you have the mainstream media that just dismisses them like they're nothing, and that goes on all the time. They don't It's a totally different thing like in Costa Rica and other countries. But my take on the parties is that both parties are sleeping in the same bed and mulling over us all. There's certain words that I found out I'm not supposed to use on here, but you know what I mean. They're in bed together. I've seen pictures of them. One minute they're on television arguing at each other. Next minute, you see a picture of them slapping each other's backs at parties and stuff like that. It's just a kabuki dance. And if you don't know what a kabuki dance is, it's sort of like a Asian, where you're shadow boxing. You're hitting at each other, but you're not really trying to hit each other. So it's my take that they try to keep the people thinking that there's a difference between the parties, and this party is for you and this party is against you. So my logical question about that whole thing is, why is it that in the last 50, 60, 70 years nothing has changed in the positive for us as regular old people? Nothing has changed, regardless of which one of those parties were in office, and regardless of whether the party had the presidency and the Congress and the Senate, because there have been times when both of them had the clean sweep, and really nothing changed. Question I have for you is, do you think that the person that is in that office is really running the country? I don't happen to think so. I happen to think that, first of all, when I talk about us as individuals, I'm not talking about color. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, green, blue, pink with purple polka dots. It does not matter. There's some elites that feel like we're trash and we're to be mulled over. So it doesn't matter. I'm not talking about um, a race situation, but when you talk about, when people came to me, somebody came to me actually today and said something about, well, our ancestors, they fought and they died for the right to vote. And I'm not saying that that's not true. It's true. A lot of people did a whole lot to get the right to vote. But my question is, were they fighting for what we have today as far as choices? I kind of don't think so. Um, my ancestors fought for the right to have freedom, have family, have own property, and raise their children the way they saw fit to raise their children. That's still not happening today. And it's partly because of the way this vote thing has turned out. So, to sum up my whole philosophy behind voting and these parties, I don't vote. And people say, well, why don't you vote? She doesn't vote because I believe, in my own humble opinion, that changing the players without changing the game is an act in futility. I'm going to say it again. Changing the players without changing the game is an act in futility. That's the way I feel about it. Now, one of the things my father says, and he says it from a racial standpoint, but I mean it from, a everyday American point, where these elite people think that they're our masters, our puppet masters, and we're the puppets. This is what my dad says. You cannot tear down the master's house using the master's tools. You have to make your own tools. You cannot tear down the master's house with the master's tools. You have to make your own tools. And that's wide open. I mean, you can go anywhere with that, and your thoughts can go anywhere with that, all the way from the way the system works, the way money works, the way jobs work, the way business works, all these things that have been concocted by these people that are in power. If you don't like it, which most of us don't, he used to always tell me, I don't want you to complain in this house. If you don't like where you are at point A, go to point B. You cannot complain. So, as much as I can, I go to point B from point A. The thing that I talk about is building your own tools. And so when I talk about escaping the rat race, that's part of building. You got to build your own tools to escape the rat race. When I talk about keeping, protecting, and growing what you earn, you got to build your own tools to be able to do that, because the system is set up for you to fail. Now, before I go on, I'm going to check the chat. Good evening. Hola. ¿Cómo está? Joe, where is he? Crypto Yo, when you find out, let me know. There's a lot of rumors out there, and I'm not going to carry them. I didn't get a chance to watch the news today because I had to go to a funeral. When I got back in, I was running around and I didn't get to watch the news that I watch. I didn't watch any news, but there's specific news that I watch that kind of leaves out all of the mainstream media fluff and the things that the indoctrination and the propaganda, and tells you what's really going on. And from what I understand, there was a rally or something for that lady that they're trying to pick, and there was a video that came on or a voice that came on, and everybody's kind of speculating on whether that was him or not. I want you all to understand that we're in some critical times right now, and yeah, look at what's happening, but don't focus on it. Focus on, okay, there's a plan for them and there's a plan for me. And their plan for me is not a good one. So I need to focus my time, however many hours a day, on making sure that their plan for me does not succeed. I don't know where he is. Hola, Thomas. I need to be down there with you. Let me know whether you're going to go to Hone Creek area so I can get you the keys to my house. Um, let's see what else is down here. Yeah, both of the same body. They're the same. They're the same. And if somebody said one bird with two different wings that work differently, so they're not going anywhere. That was one of the things that I heard from some people that were talking. We are part of the corporate United States franchise. Yes, that's what I talk about. That's what I mean by the master's tools, that you have to figure out your way to make your own tools to tear down. Somebody, Jacqueline says, "Hi, Jacqueline Oaks. You have gone through a lot. Thanks for sharing all you know with us. That's what I'm here to do. I'm supposed to, because why is it that I would be satisfied with me escaping the rat race, with me being able to do the things that I want to do and travel and, get property? Why would I be? I don't know. I just don't have that mentality where I just want to do these things and then look at everybody else that is struggling. There's something called crabs in a bucket, and I know you all are probably familiar with that, where crabs are trying to get out of the bucket and others are pulling them back down. That's never been me. All and then there's this picture that I remember of someone that is reaching back down into like a bowl, trying to get people out. So that's more like what I like to do. So let's see what I've got here. Hi, Celine. Sleepy Uncle Joe. I don't know. I'm not gonna make any speculations. People are saying all kind of things about it. Let's see. There's a way that I could, or no, that was on the other thing. So I was trying to do Restream when I was in Costa Rica. Restream was supposed to let me stream to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I went through the whole Restream thing and did all of the stuff, and I don't see any of the things that I did in Costa Rica on those other platforms. So my team is out of town right now. Don't I think they'll be back probably not even this week, probably the next weekend. And so I'll have to go with my own. But if I stick with what I'm doing right now, at least you can see me and hear me, and then I can see you guys in the chat. So that's what we're going to have to do. Is the internet decent in Costa Rica? Celine, it depends on where you are. So the West Coast is very developed. They have the Hiltons, the Hyatts, the Marriotts, the Starbucks, the Hard Rock cafes, and all that on the West Coast. That is the Pacific Ocean coast. They have all that, fiber optics and all that. The East Coast is sort of like being the stepchild of Costa Rica. They have internet, decent internet in different places. Like this guy, from what I understand, built a hotel in Puerto Viejo, and he was wealthy, so he got fiber optics put in. So in that area, my area, the internet is not that good. Put a one in the chat if you were with me when I was in Costa Rica and it was blurry, or somebody had to come on and tell you that I couldn't get on at all. I found out what happened. The internet speed is so much slower than our minimum. So what I have to do is I have to go get somebody tell me, what is it, Starlink? I'm gonna have to get satellite in order to be able to communicate really good with you guys when I'm there, and also have the cameras on my house, and also do my Zoom meetings. So I've reached out to them to see how I can coordinate getting that while I'm here, so that when I get there, all it'll take is somebody maybe installing it. But yeah, it depends on where you are. The West Coast is very expensive. The East Coast, the prices are still pretty low, and it's probably because it's not as developed. So yeah, hope that answered your question. Let's see. Are you familiar with complex trust? I'm familiar with different types of trust. Different types of trust are complex. So I don't know one type of trust being called complex trust. No, I know different types: Q-tip, intervivals trust, for revocable, irrevocable, and a lot of those are pretty complex. You're quite welcome. So as far as the way that I hear things are going, so from what I understand, there were a few people that were not happy that the current vice president was going to be the nominee to take the current president's place. I don't know. I don't think anything's going to play out to change that. It may or may not. What I do know is that historically, after an election, the economy goes down really bad. Put a one in the chat if you listen to at all Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff, it's Erwin Schiff's son, and he's an economist. He came on the other day and basically said that the older people are toast because whatever they're getting ready to do is going to take out their savings. So a lot of people are still putting money in IRAs, 401ks, mutual funds, and those kind of things. I talked, a couple of weeks ago about those things being able to disappear in the blink of an eye. I told you guys about a 60 minutes video that's out there on YouTube, and it's titled something like "The Stock Market is Rigged" or "Is the Stock Market Rigged?" where this guy is really showing you how they rig the stock market. So there's plans for a lot of different things, that there's plans to try to do what happened in 2020 again. It's so I'm concerned about the people that are just sitting there continuing to do nothing about it and continuing on with their life as if nothing is happening. I know that cognitive dissonance exists, but it's a scary thing to see it in play because there are people that aren't planning. You all know last Friday that the airlines were down, along with a lot of emergency services. All that was down, and it was supposedly about some kind of a software upgrade. I talked to a cybersecurity person that was not able to confirm that it was just an upgrade. That concerns me. We all should be concerned. I'm not saying, go panic and run to the hills. What I am saying is don't sit there and do nothing. And then when the excrement hits the portable cooling device, your face is full of it. We don't want that. We want to do something to help ourselves get in place. So I'm going to go back to the chat. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know what? As far as being stranded without internet, I think that my biggest thing about not having internet is not being able to communicate with you guys and my clients. Yeah, especially, here also in the States and when I'm in Costa Rica or wherever I am. But we need to get used to, or we need to have a plan B for if the internet goes out. How many of you put one in the chat if you saw a series? I think it could have been about 10 years ago, and it was called Revolution. I don't think it's on. I'm pretty sure it's not on Netflix anymore. I don't know how you get it, but Revolution was a telltale series about what happened when the grid went out. And it started out, I think it was 15 years after the grid went out, and you saw how they were living and how they got along without electricity. So I'm going to go back. Hello, everybody. I'm going to go back to the chat. The Great Taking. So one of your other assignments is to read the Great Taking. It's out there in movie form. You can watch that, but I still want you to read the PDF, The Great Taking, because This comes from someone that was on the inside in Wall Street and is really telling you what's going on. I have it on my desktop. I haven't read it yet because I've been super busy, but I did see the movie, and it concerned me what they were talking about homes and mortgages, because you pay a mortgage, but you still are expected to pay property taxes, or they can take your property. But there's some other stuff concerning mortgages that I didn't know, so I'm not going to give up that information. But go out and find The Great Taking and read that. Chris says, thank you for teaching us the importance of personal economic liberation. I self published my first book 3 years ago and started working on my second book. Thanks again. Yeah, so we need to start reading. We need to spend less time on the television, what I call the electronic income reducer. Now, I like YouTube. A lot of people call it YouTube University because you can get the equivalent of a PhD by watching stuff on YouTube. But be careful about the other stuff that they catch you up in. Like my grandmother used to watch what she called the stories. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The Guide and Light and One Life to Live. Well, all that other stuff she used to watch, and every day just get caught up in that. And it was just a big waste of time. Big waste of time. Another thing, when I moved here, some of you don't know this, but I'm originally from Detroit, the east side of Detroit, Van Dyke and Harper area, by the way, just so you know. And when we came down here, I had never heard of this wrestling. There were wrestlers, and I'm telling my age. You all know I'm older. But there were wrestlers out there, the Thunderbolt Patterson and all those people. And everybody at my school was caught up in, running home, and, they got wrestling tonight. And I asked my father about it. And he said, that's not real wrestling. Real wrestling is done on a mat that's about 3 inches. I never watched it again after that. I never was interested in it. I never watched it because it was entertainment. It wasn't real wrestling. That's just kind of who I am. But what we have right now that's going on for you is entertainment. But behind the scenes, it's not good. Complex systems fail in non-linear ways. Such is true. Where does our federal income tax dollars go? And where do we find out where it is going? Okay, Nate Rand. There was a report back in 1984 that was commissioned. There was a Peter Grace commission. Ronald Reagan, the Reagan, put together a commission, and Peter Grace and some people went and found that none of the money that was collected in income tax goes towards running the country. It goes towards giving money to the Federal Reserve, which is a private banking cartel that collects millions of dollars in interest from you every day. And it's not going towards running the country. The gas tax pays for fixing the roads. Your property taxes pay for the policemen and the firemen, and your county taxes and all of that. And there's a guy out there called, and I'm saying these names too, Beardsley Rummel. Beardsley Rummel was, I believe, a former Federal Reserve person, and he wrote a treatise called Income Tax for Revenue is Obsolete. And in that pages, it was maybe 10, 15 pages, maybe a little more. He basically told you that the income tax didn't have anything to do with anything but the redistribution of wealth. Beardsley Rummel, look it up. Okay, I'm going to go on. Let's see. Plan B and Plan C. Yes, natural observation. I have a Plan B and a Plan C. Right now, I can't hold on to more than that, but I'm working on all of that. If some major event takes place on the U.S., like war or cyber attack, how do you think that would affect our currency and Canadian currency exchange rate? Right now, Canada pays. Okay, so right now, without thinking about any kind of event, our currency is worth 3 cents. So a dollar that was worth $1 in 1921 is worth 3 cents now. After World War II, there was this meeting they had at Bretton Woods, and they decided that the dollar was going to be the world reserve currency. And because of that, everybody had to exchange their currency to dollars in order to get oil and other stuff. That is in the process of changing, and it's in the middle of changing, not at the beginning of changing, because you got the BRICS nations, Brazil, India, Russia, South Africa. I'm B, Brazil, R, Russia, I, India, K, or C rather, and S, South Africa. Who is the C? China. Anyway, they've decided that they're gonna trade in commodities in their own currency. And also, the other day I saw an article that says that a lot of the countries like China that have treasury bonds are turning them in. They're selling their treasury bonds. So what's happening on the surface? It's like a riptide. You're out in the water and you're having fun, and that riptide is about to take you under. Look up what's going on with treasury bonds and the sale of treasury bonds. And I think I told you guys some names when I was in Costa Rica. I'm not sure whether that was the stream that was really blurry, but one of the people that I listened to is Lynette Zhang. Lynette Zhang has these articles that she talks about. I think that was who I was listening to when they talked about selling off the treasury bonds. So what's keeping the currency afloat is the fact that other people, well, you heard of the good faith and credit, the United States dollar. And it's not like that anymore. So don't even wait, or don't even worry about some kind of an event. The dollar is really going down, and who knows what's going to happen to it. Now, I've told you before that I like hard assets. And what I consider hard assets is silver, gold, and real estate. Something that won't disappear in the blink of an eye, something that you have in your hand. I'm not talking about stocks, not silver stocks or gold stocks or anything like that. I'm talking about something that you have in your hand and something that's under your feet. So I'm going back to the chat. I couldn't imagine the sailors going across North America with, you know what? People were more resilient back before we had all this technology. So it would be good for us to start thinking about and start doing some things without technology. Ham radios work when satellites are down. So that's one of the things on my list to do, is to get a ham radio and to learn how to use it. Whew. The cost of living. The cost of living. Okay. We need to pay attention to how much money we spend on stuff. And I know of at least two people that are moving out of their apartments when their leases are up and getting something that's least expensive. Now that pride might take a hit, but we can't be perpetrating a prima donna when we don't have the funds. That's why I keep saying you can't have a $500 Coach purse without $5 to put in it. Those things, those days are over, because it's getting very, very dangerous out here. A lot of people lost their jobs in 2020, 2021, and they got more in store for you. Right. So the Grace Commission report, yes, yes, 100% of the income goes to other stuff, not for you. It's called taxation without representation. Yes, a lot of you are building your own tools. I see in the chat. Thank you for that. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But there are more countries, I think, like Saudi Arabia and some others that have either joined or are trying to join. And there are going to be more countries that are involved in that coalition than over here. There's a lot going on. Of course, some of you know what's going on the west coast of Africa with Burkina Faso and all those countries telling France to get out and stop taking the resource. It's this upheaval. And I just admonish you guys not to sit there and do nothing, come home from work, you're tired, get your second win, eat your dinner, and start working on your plan B, whether that be your business that you already have, whether that be starting a business, whatever that is. Okay, Nate says if we don't have the money to pay a CPA, where do we find the current laws on tax write offs and how to file your business taxes? So, one of the things that my mentor says, Nate, and the rest of you, is time is infinitely more valuable than money. I know how to sew. Uh, I know how to hem my pants. I'm really short, you all. I'm 5'1". Sometimes, the pants are too long. I know how to hem them, but I'm not good at it. So for me to spend hours trying to hem some pants doesn't make any sense because I could be doing business or I could be with you. I said that to say that you can go out online on YouTube and figure it out yourself, or you can find somebody that knows that can tell you and pay them. Like, for example, with YouTube, I'm not really good with any of this technology, but there's a guy out there that wrote a book called The YouTube Formula, and he takes people's YouTube channels from really small to really big. So I paid them a pretty penny to tell me what I need to do to grow my YouTube channel. One of them was being more consistent. One of them was not having my thumbnails all over the place, get some consistent thumbnails. And there was some other stuff they told me. So to me, it was worth it to know, and some systems that they told me to put in place rather than me spending, you know, 20, 30, 40 hours trying to listen to various different people on YouTube tell me what they thought about my channel. Okay. So yeah, if you don't have the money and if you don't want to, get it together and talk to a professional that knows about that, then you can look it up. Now, I want to say something else. Every CPA doesn't know about taxes. A lot of CPAs don't do taxes. A lot of CPAs that do taxes just get your information from you, do the taxes, and give it back. So if you don't ask a person, do they have certain kind of expenses, then they won't get on the tax return. So when you want to know about deductions, you go to somebody like me who knows how to write off everything but the kitchen sink. Lynette Zhang is in Sweden now. She calls Sweden the greatest country in the world. Well, she has her opinion. I have mine. I know some people there. I like different things about different countries, and there's some things that I like about Sweden. There's some other things that are a little bit draconian in other countries that we still have available to us, but I don't know for how long. Okay, so Natural Observation says that several U.S. states have signed on as BRICS members. I got to check that out. I did not know that. I'm really busy. I want to get to the point where I'm less busy so I can spend more time, doing things that I like to do, like being on here and, doing my plan for Costa Rica. But I've got, family obligations that, take a lot of time. And then I have clients. I do have to make money. I have clients that I have to do research for, and we do meetings and stuff like that. But I appreciate when people send me things that I can quickly look at and observe and know, certain things I don't know. So someone says, I think it's Jabal says, Miss Jackson, I'm curious to how, since you don't vote and you really don't identify with either party, what is the main influence for your beliefs or your mindset? I am a hardline Christian. I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I follow the teachings of Jesus, and they're very crystal clear. Treat people like you want to be treated. Love God with all your heart and love your neighbor. It's simple stuff, just simple stuff. And when I see there's a division of good and evil, I'm a black and white person. There's good and there's evil. What's going on over there is evil. I try to do good. I try to help people. That's why I got in trouble. I got a big mouth, so I'm gonna tell you when I hear something, and I've proven it, and it's not a rumor anymore, like the stuff that's going on with Joe. I'm gonna tell you about it, and so whatever, because you need to know. We need to be able to make the decisions for ourselves based on all of the information, not one party's interpretation of the information, or not one party's part that they want to tell us and leave off the other. So that's what it is for me. I'm a Christian. I don't back in the door about it. I use the Bible in my teachings. The Bible is the greatest book on finances that I have ever seen. So a lot of people, if you're offended, I'm sorry. That's just who I am. Okay. Our townhouse is a good investment. Ooh, Lord. Okay, so I don't like to invest in anything that's not freestanding. Townhouses and apartments and condos, you are buying a building with other people. So like in Florida, you all remember like several years ago when that condo just imploded on itself because it had some problems, and all those people in there, they whatever financial situations they were in, they couldn't get it together. I had to audit a whole condo here in Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, not going to say where, but they brought me in to audit it because the power company cut off the power because the condo association was not paying the power bill, because some people in the condo were paying and some people weren't. So when you're in some kind of a joint situation like that, no, I don't deal with that well. I don't want people over there, not, with a wall separating us, and they might be really not clean, and I don't like roaches, and it's just no. I just would buy a freestanding something. I mean, if you're going to live in a condo just for renting or temporary, but I definitely would not buy one. Grow your own garden in totes if you don't have a yard. It's also a way to help with the cost of living. Exactly. Tires also. People throw tires out. But I just saw a video not too long ago, my dad sent it, where people, had just regular tires, filled them up with good soil, and they were pretty good for growing different plants. Somebody's asking about the capital gains tax after the coming elections. How do you manage to not age? Thank you for that. I actually do age. It's just that I don't eat in McDonald's and places like that. I started cooking. Believe it or not, guys, I didn't cook until 2018. But I ate good. I ate out at places that had good food. I used good pots and pans, Salad Master. I don't use aluminum. I don't use aluminum deodorant. Just different things that you learn as you start educating yourself about how to keep your body up. I do need to lose a couple more pounds, but other than that, what to do with your face. I paid a dermatologist to tell me to stop putting all these different creams and stuff on my face. Just different things like that. I don't have makeup that stuff on. I do put on lipstick and stuff, but I don't have that. It's just what you do. Research and figure out what's best for yourself. And thank you for that. Let me go back in the chat because I think I'm missing something. Let's see. What would happen if I don't pay taxes for 3 years but still work for a corporation? What usually happens is they're gonna knock on your door, not literally, but you're gonna get a letter that says that you haven't filed. They're gonna file for you, and all if you have money taken away from you during that for withholding, they're gonna make up probably a tax return that's gonna be more than that. So they try different ways to force people to do it. People, I know I talked to somebody yesterday, people that have gone into their HR department or their legal department and said, I'm not liable. And they don't care about all that. They just fire you because they don't want the pushback. They want to stay with the status quo. So if you want to keep your job, then you might want to get a side business so that the money that you make the taxes on the money you make can be reduced because you have a business. Okay. People would always say it's tough to travel with a lot of gold and silver if you need to take a flight as opposed to digital currency. How do you feel about that? Digital currency is digital currency. I have one of those little black things, but I like silver and gold. If I have to travel with it, I have to travel with it. I'm in, there are ways, there are more than one way to skin a cat. I'm not going to even mention them on here, but I'm going to um, have physical silver and gold. Or what if I have that and then I use it to buy some more property? So I don't have as much, but I have more property. So there are different things that you can do with that. It's a good bartering tool. Both silver and gold have been around for thousands of years of as a medium of exchange. I like that consistency. Yes, you need to look at gold as have gold as an asset. Yeah, I mean, moving from the north to places that are warmer. My concern about the colder places is if the grid goes down, it's going to be really cold. And um, in warmer places, there are ways to cool yourself off. But when it's cold. And I'm from Detroit originally, and I can remember that bone chilling cold like it was yesterday. So not for me. Both parties have become too extreme for my thinking. Yeah. Let's say flee Babylon. Exactly. This is Babylon. Let me scroll the chat. I don't think I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Yes. Social Security, the way they did things before, they would throw something in place, and by the time the Supreme Court ruled on it as being unconstitutional, it was too late because they had already put it in place, and the people wanted it. And there are a lot of things, what I call tentacles, like the octopus has tentacles, and there are ways that they put their tentacles in you. As soon as you graduate from high school, you could get caught up in that. I saw somebody in the chat earlier said that their children were going to not have to have slave surveillance numbers. I mean, social security numbers. And that's a good thing. I know of people that are being proactive. That's what I mean by building your own tools, whatever that is for you, building your own tools to free yourself. Now, we have to look at the overall picture of where, as far as how are you going to live, because you won't need a, SSN if no money's coming in from anywhere. So first of all, food, water, shelter, those kinds of things like that. That's where you need to build those first tools and then go there. I know people are, telling me stuff like, "Oh, I beat the court." Good, but we only have so much a day. Whatever you want to concentrate on, I take to you. But just make sure that in all of that, you make sure that when it hits the fan, then you're okay with where you're living. You're okay with what you have to eat. Yes. Let me go down and okay, is SPC worth it? I don't have debt to clear, but I'm curious. Real estate and such. I don't know what SPC means. I'm sorry. Um, is jewelry that's authentic a good asset? A lot of people do jewelry, but it's so hard to valuate. And when the valuation tools are not in place, if we don't have electricity or if people just don't have them, then how do you know a real gold ring from something that's not? Yes. Castor oil is good for the face. Oh, castor oil is what I use in my hair sometimes, actually. Okay. Rosemary, yeah. Those, I use a lot of herbs. I actually make my own oils to put on. Like I have um lavender bushes in my front yard. And then when they grow up and they start smelling really good, I cut them and I put them in a box and let them dry. And then I take the little purple thingies off and put them with the carrier oil, which is I use almond oil. And then I put a little bit of extra lavender from now in there, and then I have that oil. I use it. I mix it with Costa Rican coconut oil is what I do. So I have I go to Costa Rica. I bring back their natural made coconut oil, and then I mix it with my lavender mixture, and then I also do that with jasmine. I don't have jasmine plants, but I use the essential oil jasmine and make it's better than whatever's in those cologne bottles. Purchase land in unincorporated counties and states. I know people that do that. I know most of the people that are purchasing property right now are going really rural, like 2 and 3 hours away from the main cities. And they'll go down and they'll visit like every other weekend to make sure that their house is okay, make sure that their cameras are working, make sure that whatever they're storing down there is still secure. So that's an idea. If I was going to buy somewhere else here in the States, it would more than likely be somewhere very rural. Yes. Okay, so I wanted to say a couple of more things before I jump off of here about the politics. I'm not mad at you if you vote. I'm not mad at you if you don't vote. I just want you to recognize that the people that the faces that you see aren't the ones that are really running the country. How many of you are familiar with David Martin? David Martin is a guy that has done some extensive research on who's really running the country, and he surprised me. I spoke at an event in Utah. It was Ed Griffith's Red Pill Expo in Utah, and that was in November of 2022. And I had already heard of David Martin, but then he was there. And the thing that struck me, the thing that was new to me on the whole twist of who's really running the country and how and why was from David Martin. And we've always talked about the banksters this and the banksters. Yeah, they're involved in it, but how many of you know or have heard David Martin tell who's really running the country? Put in the chat who's really running the country, who's really running things geopolitically. Okay, go back IRA. Should we cash it out and get in? I don't believe in IRAs, 401. This is my personal opinion. I can't tell you what to do. I don't give advice like that. I don't have anything that could disappear in the blink of an eye. From what I'm hearing in that book, that PDF, The Great Taking, there is so much small print in all of these little contracts that they have with the IRAs and the 401ks and all of that, that it really doesn't belong to you. I don't believe in anything that can disappear in the blink of an eye. I have I like the physical. So that's my answer to that about gold back IRA. Is it really gold back? Where's the gold? How much is it? How many people have IRAs versus how much gold is stored somewhere? Okay. I just bought a row house and drive an hour to work. I got a USDA loan, 0% down. You get, yeah, I've seen those videos and I was really interested in that, but I'm just so busy. I like the idea of getting a rural house. Some of the houses are, the banks want to get offload some houses, and you can get some really great deals if you learn if you know how to fix up houses, or if you have somebody that you can fix up a house. But definitely moving rural would be my next place if I wasn't, if I was going to buy somewhere in the United States, because right now I'm in a subdivision. Who is running things? 1 John 5:19. Just make sure you get a plumber to check the plumbing, or you might get stuck paying $20,000 to fix the plumbing. Yeah, inspections are great. Electrical and the plumbing are two major issues that you definitely do not want to go bad or be bad and you not know it when you get a house. Um, even life insurance policies. Okay, I missed the beginning of that. Even life insurance policies. So, life insurance policies are good. That's part of your insurance. There are certain types of insurance policies that I use to create wealth. So, insurance is good. S- Yeah, not those, Ron, Klaus, and Soros. They're doing things, but it's really somebody above them. It's not a person. It's a group. Leverage paper to stabilize. Yeah, good luck getting your paper gold. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna tell you because I don't see the answer. So see if you can find some David Martin videos where he basically said it's the insurance companies that are running things, the insurance companies that are running things, not necessarily just the banksters. So it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. What they do with insurance contracts. I was floored when I found that out. I don't claim to ever know anything, everything, but I did not know that. That was really, really new to me. And it made a lot of sense as to why our commutes are like they are and traffic is like it is and lights are just he brought up a whole bunch of very telling things. So see if you can find David Martin's videos about who really runs things and the insurance companies and the things that they do to make sure that we have lower lifespans. And when our lifespans start getting too long, then other things happen. Yeah. Okay. Somebody's saying read a book called Gold Warriors. Okay. Reading is good. A lot of people tend to like videos over books, and I understand that. And a lot of times I'm so tired and I'll start reading and I'll go to sleep. But they know that too. So they do things to the movies. For example, if you read a book and then you see a movie about the book, a lot of times the important things, the helpful things that were in that book are not in that movie. Yeah, I like to learn something new every day. I don't, but I try to. When selling property, do I have to use all proceeds in purchasing another property, or can I file a partial amount in gaining the offset to taxes? So that's kind of a loaded question. It's got a lot of parts to it, but there's something called Section 1031 where if you sell a property that's not your home. First of all, if you sell your home, then if you've been in there more than 2 years, you can escape capital gains unless you made a really, really big gain on it. But if you're selling a property that's not a home, that's not your residence, then if you use what's called a 1031 exchange, then you can end up not having to, you can forego the capital gain. So if I have a property, I got one of my properties worth about 370. If I get ready to sell that property, then I'm going to enact the whole process of 1031. So when it sells, I have like 90 days to buy another property. Of course, by then I would have looked and found another property, looked for and found another property. So yeah, you can or you can take part of the money and get another property, but you would have to pay the capital gains on the part that you did not buy property with. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, so I am going to go. Um, I have to finish cooking some stuff that I started cooking, and I'm trying something new in the air fryer. That the little cr- the crumbs or the crust that I was using is bad for you. And so I looked. Okay, so let me give you a tip. On your phones, there's this app called Yuka, Yuka, and its symbol is like a little carrot. And you can go in the store and scan the barcode of anything, and it'll tell whether it's great or whether it's horrible. So when I went and scanned the crust that I was using to put, my meats in the air fryer, it was horrible. So it gives you options. So it gives you alternatives. So this alternative is kind of interesting looking. So somebody told me to put some eggs in it and stuff, and so I just finished doing that, and I'm gonna go and taste it and see how it is. But the other one was good, but it was good, but it was bad for you. So anyway, let me check one more time, and I'm gonna go. You're welcome. Do you do consultation also? Is it? Yeah, I do consultation. So I have clients. I have clients that I actually help with audits. I have clients that I help, get their books and records together. But my favorite one is starting businesses. I have high paid employees that are scared to get pink slips. So they make between 120 and $358,000, different people, and they say, okay, well, I know this job might not last. I might get fired. The company might go out of business and get bought out. So let me go ahead and start a home based business. And so I do have consulting. So the consulting packages, some of them are on my website, sherrypeeljackson.com. And, you can email me at connect@sherrypeeljackson.com if you want consulting. My smallest package is an hour. And then after that, it's 3 hours. And they go up from there. I've got year-long packages. I've got packages where I'll take you to Costa Rica with me and everything. So hope that answered your question. Do the guy have David Martin? I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he has any social media. I don't think so, because every time I see David Martin on YouTube, he's on somebody else's site. But look him up, and you'll get a earful. Yeah, everybody be safe. Yucca is really for the. Oh, no, 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 not that Yucca. It's just yeah, I know what you're talking about, but the little website, the app called Yucca. Let me make sure that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Yes, it's Yuka, and its symbol is a carrot. Look that up. I go in the store with my phone, and I was like, "Ooh, this cereal right here. Ooh, it's a 40. I'm not getting it. Oh, ooh, that one's a 90." I don't drink coffee a lot, but there, I'm really concerned about coffee creamer, so I stopped using that Coffee Mate stuff. And then I found one that's almond milk that's good. So anyway, you all have a great evening. I'm going to try to come back tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I want to be back tomorrow at 9. I'm going to try to make my time 9. And then I'll have another subject, but I'll also answer questions from the chat. And you all have a wonderful evening. Make sure you get some sleep, and make sure you think about what tools you are going to make so that you can break down the master's house. Have a great one.